Hello and welcome to A View from the Cab. P&O Ferries, the Employer of the Year candidates there, apparently have been given an ultimatum as the firm's owner posts record profit. Keep in mind that P&O was the ferry company that said if we don't sack 800 members of staff today, then we'll go out of business. The company's decision to fire 786 crew members without notice earlier this year and replace them with much cheaper agency workers on below minimum wage sparked widespread outrage. But you know, yeah, you can have all the outrage you want, it won't go anywhere. The article goes on, P&O Ferries will have no choice in law but to pay crew members minimum wage, the Transport Secretary has warned, after the firm's owner reported record profits following a controversial mass sacking. If you think back a few months, it was when P&O just decided that they were just going to sack all them people. Just that's it, you're gone, goodbye. They knew it was illegal. They knew it was immoral. They knew it was illegal. But I remember reading somewhere at the time, I can't think of the exact source, that it was easier to just sack the people and then go through the legal battle rather than try to go through the legal battle first, because they knew it would be a long, drawn out, protracted situation. So they figured, well, we'll just sack them all now. They pay their staff almost half the legal minimum wage for the United Kingdom, but it's legal in international maritime law, so that makes it all right. Issuing the ultimatum in air quotes, Grant Shapps said the company will be forced to back down and so should make the change now, but they won't, will they? He also repeated the demand for the P&O boss Peter Hebblethwaite to quit. Well, he won't, will he? The firm's decision to fire 786 crew members without notice earlier this year and replace them with much cheaper agency workers sparked outrage. Now, they just said that. See, this is what annoys me about these articles. To bulk it out, flesh it out, they'll just copy and paste the same paragraphs. Mr. Hebblethwaite subsequently admitted to MPs the firm broke the law by not consulting on the move because no union would have accepted its proposals. Well, of course they wouldn't. The executive, whose basic annual salary is £325,000, also said the average pay of the agency crew was £5.50 per hour. While this was below the UK's national minimum wage of £9.50 per hour, he insisted this was permitted under international maritime laws. Well, that makes it okay then. That makes it okay. If the international maritime law is completely wrong, then it makes it okay. But this is the best bit. Now, this links into another article. There was fresh condemnation this week as the Dubai-based owner of the ferry operator, DP World, said it had made a profit of $884 million, or £736 million, over the 6 months to the end of June. So they've sacked all those workers, treated them like utter rubbish, but it's alright because now they've made nearly $1 billion of profit. Responding, Mr. Shapps said, I think their boss, the CEO, needs to resign. He won't. He's still under investigation, which is absolutely right over the way that he behaved. Won't happen. He pointed to legislation currently going through Parliament which aimed to ensure that seafarers on vessels regularly using British ports are paid minimum wage. That won't happen. Those failing to comply face being fined or barred access. That won't happen. Mr. Shapps said P&O are going to have overturned what they have done here. Won't happen. They will have no choice in law very shortly. It won't happen. They should recognise that and make that change now. Won't happen. DP World also faced criticism from unions after reporting its bumper returns. Well, absolutely. Francis O'Grady, the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, said these eye-watering profits have come off the back of P&O illegally sacking hundreds of dedicated staff. They're an insult to common decency. They are. P&O Ferries declined to comment. Well, of course they did. They're not going to comment on that, are they? Why would they? What can you say that's possibly going to make that make that sound okay. You can't even make it sound halfway decent. It links into another article. Sacked P&O Ferries worker John Lansdowne slams Grant Shapps for not pursuing criminal case against the firm. This article was about 12 hours later. A sacked P&O Ferries worker says it is a disgrace, and it is that an investigation has dropped plans to launch criminal proceedings against the ferry firm after it fired nearly 800 staff early this year. They've just dropped the case. Yeah, it's all done now. It's not going to happen. Forget about it. You got the sack. You worked hard. You got the sack. Clear off. That's it. You've all just got to find new jobs now. So just do one, basically. This fella described as an unlawful sacking package, which he described as being take the money, go away and keep quiet, and we'll replace you with cheap workers. That's exactly what it was, Mr. Lansdowne. I admire Mr. Lansdowne's spirit for thinking he can keep going and try. It's the optimism. I really admire it. I genuinely do. He's been left furious at the latest inaction by the government. Well, this government, let's be honest, is just dead, isn't it? This government is just... The race to the bottom has well and truly begun, he reflected. In fairness, Mr. Lansdowne, I honestly believe the race to the bottom started a long time ago. This wasn't just it. The government has allowed P&O and its parent company DP World to get away with this. Yeah, they have, and they will, because there's big money involved. Now, this will give unscrupulous employers the green light to do exactly the same thing. Yes, it will. Logistics giant DP World is owned by the Dubai ruling royal family, and earlier this week announced record-breaking profits for the first 6 months of the year. Well, they're going to announce big profits, aren't they? Because they goonered their highly paid staff to just exploit cheaper staff. There was all that, if you recall, with the safety coming into question of all the P&O vessels. There were, because they've got people turning up from wherever they turned up from. Didn't really know much about shipping, I suppose, or how these ships worked, or where the emergency access points were and everything. So it was a long time before the P&O ferries could actually start sailing again, because there were safety concerns. But eventually it happens, doesn't it? I mean, it was always going to happen. He says the right thing to do under these circumstances, let a court decide, but the government has decided to chicken out. They haven't chickened out. They were never going to do anything. They were never going to do anything about this P&O mass sacking. Yeah, they stamped their feet in Parliament, didn't they? They kicked off at the time, and they said all the right things, and it let us all believe that they was going to do something and stop these unscrupulous employers from carrying this on. But it's just going to happen over and over and over. And it's not just because we've got a Conservative government. If we had a Labour government, it would happen, because there's too much money involved. That's all it is. There's too much money for a few hundred people to jeopardise everything. It's just the way it is now. This country really is in such an absolute mess. There's no morals. There's no there's no honesty. There's no transparency. Everything is dishonest. Everything is immoral. You're never told the truth. There's always somebody's agenda. We're never told what the actual situation is and let us decide. We're always given an agenda. We're always given somebody's opinion. It's never just, these are the facts, this is the way it is, you work it out for yourselves. No, we're treated like idiots because we behave like idiots, because we allow them to get away with it. Now, John Lansdowne, I really do admire your spirit, but unfortunately I just don't really see anything happening with regards to a court case for anything, really. You're just going to have to live with it, mate, I'm afraid. And I know that's defeatist, and I know it's not good, and it's not a perfect solution. I really do feel for you, but In this country now, the pound note is absolutely everything. You know, it's a case of money isn't everything. It's the only thing. That's how it works now in the UK. Money is everything. And people now, employers, will just step all over and clamber all over anybody. They'll clamber through any amount of crap to get that pound note, no matter what it takes, no matter who it hurts or who it upsets. As long as they've got their greasy, grimy hands on that pound note, they will do whatever it takes. And that's a sad fact. That is a sad fact and a sad thing to admit, that you live in a country where they put money, the pound note, over just anything and everybody. It's a horrible situation, and it's a situation we could all find ourselves in. You know, because we've not got any backup. You know, we've got nothing as employees in this country. There's nothing. The mark of any good employer is a case of, well, if you start a union here, well, we'll just shut the gates. That's the mark of a good employer. You know, employers, we've got nothing in this country now. It's all about big business stamping on anybody just to get their hands on that pound note, and that's a sad thing to have to say, but there it is. It's quite simply the way it is now in the UK. It's really not. It's not a pleasant country to live in. People will flock from all across the world to come here. And you know, you hear about these migrants coming over the channel in these dinghies, risking it all, and you think, why are you coming here? You know, why are you coming to this morally bankrupt, morally dead, you know, cesspit country? Just why are you bothering? There's plenty of other decent countries you could go to with higher moral standards. I mean, even if, you know, well, I don't know. This country is just full of corruption, you know. And I heard a former Prime Minister, I won't say who the Prime Minister was, a few years ago, and this Prime Minister had the cheek to criticise the Afghan government. He said the Afghan government is a byword for corruption, and this was at the time of the MP's pay scandal, expenses scandal. And I thought, you're having a laugh, mate. You think that they're, you know, we're paying for people to you know, the adult channel. The taxpayer is paying for the adult channel for some of these MPs and their spouses. You know, we're paying to get their moats cleaned out. If I was to go to my employer and say, look, I'm gonna need to claim expense, I'm gonna need a bit of a pay rise because my moat needs to be cleaned out, I know exactly what he'd say. The second word would be off. You know. But no, the MPs, they're all got their noses in the trough, haven't they? You know, the MPs expenses scandal, they should have all gone to jail. Parliament should have been dissolved because there should have been no MPs left. You know, if you're putting a Kit Kat on expenses, there's something wrong with you. You know, the adult channel or pornographic channels, whatever one it was, on expenses, there's something wrong with you. But no, we just said, yeah, all right, whatever, yeah, go on, carry on. And it's just got worse and worse and worse and worse, and we're living in an absolute cesspit of a country now. We really are ruled by, I don't know how to describe it without getting myself into trouble. But there's nothing in this country now. It's just the pound note is king, and that's it. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter how you get it. Sell your own granny, mate. Who cares? Doesn't matter. It's all about the pound note. End of story. End of discussion. You know, trample all over everybody, over anybody that gets in your way in pursuit of that pound note. And it's sad. It really is. But sadly, that is my view from the cab. I wish all those sacked P&O workers, I wish them all the very best of luck. I genuinely do. I know, I hope it all works out for them, but don't hold your breath there. because in this country now, if it, you know, it's just not going to happen. I'm afraid. It's just forget it. Write it off. Write it off. Move on with your life. That's the best advice I can give you. Thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. Be careful. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.